Hey, somebody just hopped in. Hello, hello. We're just doing some painting today. Nothing crazy, not teaching anything, just hanging out. If there's anything you guys want to chat about, talk about, any suggestions, just feel free to drop it in the chat. Otherwise, grab a mini and hang out, What we're working on today, I have two little rat piles that I've been staring at for pretty much ever, and finally purchased them. So I figured I'd finish them up. We're playing, I think, our fourth or fifth round of Ravenloft tomorrow, and so I want them at my husband's disposal just in case he needs them. And then I also have this big guy here. He is the Bookish Dragon. I've seen him on sale on Amazon for a while, and it's one of the more affordable prints. I think he was maybe $25, and I was curious about the quality and everything regarding him. I will say assembly was a bit of a pain. These wings, I didn't even glue in. I had to try the hot water trick to loosen them, and that didn't even work, so I had to shave off some of the tongues because it's just a tongue on the wing and then a groove into the body. And so I shaved that off, shoved it in there, and it's held so far. I did glue him onto the base. I'm not really liking how the paint's laying on him because a lot of it's really smooth plastic, almost like the figure that I showed you guys, the repaint that I did of the Asiatic dragon. It's kind of sitting on it like that, even though, I mean, I did a full prime on this guy with primer that I've had no issue with before. So we'll probably work on him a little bit once we get around to it. I might change the color of his beard and his eyebrows. I thought it'd be cool. Maybe I just need to darken them. We'll see. But we're just going to work on the rats for right now. So, like I said, feel free to put on music on your own, mostly because I'm terrified of, having a copyright strike. And grab a mini and get painting. What I will say is this is my first time live streaming, so you guys will just kind of have to stick with me while I'm figuring out the mechanics and everything, okay? I'm not that great with stuff. Now I will say the other day I did finally go out and pick up the Pro Aqua Brown Wash. So the ones that I just did was with the black wash. I'm going to do this other one up with the brown just to see how it looks. And yeah, I know I primed it with gray, but you know, I can do a brown wash and then dry brush with a brown or tan and see if that gives a kind of similar effect. And honestly, I think it'll work. I think it'll be okay. If it's not, you just paint it over again. It's no problem. Man, 3 of you watching now. That's crazy. I will say I'm not great at having conversation with myself. So there will be quite a few silent streaks in this live stream unless anyone throws, you know, something into the chat or asks a question or wants to say I'm doing something wrong. Without engagement, I'm very much a sit in silence kind of person, which I know isn't the best when it comes to being successful on the internet, but that's not what we're searching for. We're just building the chill little spot here in our little corner of the world. See, that's not too bad. What I will say is there's a lot of definition lacking towards the center. Let's see if I can try and help you guys see a little bit easier here. I'm working off of 2 screens, so my one screen's a bit of a delay. But if you look towards the center, you'll see their faces, it is kind of give out. They don't really have discernible figures. I mean, I guess if there's a giant swarm of rats coming at you, you probably wouldn't be able to see their faces too well. Anyway, so no fault to WizKids on that one. So let's look here. We're gonna need a pink for their little tails and noses. What do I want to use? Let's try the rock red and or solid white. Now I'm surprised I haven't gotten a comment regarding this yet, but I'll address it now if I ever get one in the future. With these MSP paints, these core colors, right? You'll probably think I'm wasting them with how much I use. I have had these for 7 years. So I'm trying to get through them before I go and buy some new ones. Now, they're relatively okay. I mean, you just saw the little paint shards come out of that one there just because a lot of the tips are clogged and I haven't taken the time to sit down and unclog them. So I pour them out, which leads to a little bit of waste. But eventually I'd like to get another full set of the MSP colors. And I'd like to get them all at once. I know that's not really rational. You don't use all of your colors at once. But I have no issue burning through some of these paints and having waste. I will use a wet palette from time to time. I do have one. But I will say, I rarely sit down back-to-back times or back-to-back days in order to paint, and that's just because painting is not my full-time thing. I have a regular job, full-time job, which is kind of stressful with what I do, and so sometimes you want to paint, sometimes you don't. So it's not always the best for me to use a wet palette. If I'm going into a weekend and I'm working on something larger like our guy right over here, I might pull it out and use it. But the other thing is I try to get a specific block done at a time, so it's not necessarily required for me to have the same color available the next day. That's just me. need a little bit more white. And I know I did start the live stream early. I know I said I was logging on at 10 and it's still 9:45. So if anyone joins later, I'll still recap everything we're doing. It's okay. I'll probably be on here. I think my goal was 2 hours. It might be a little bit less than that. I do have a couple things to get done around the house today, or apartment. We also have, like I said, one of our sessions tomorrow, so need to clean up and get ready for that. I'm going up a level because my barbarian, he's a level 7 now. I'm so proud of him. So I'll need to sit down and figure out what all that entails and what extra goodies I have now that I'm a little bit higher up. I think we'll do the tails first because their faces look a little bit mishmashed. And I know this camera setup isn't ideal. I literally do just have my phone sitting on the side of the desk the same way I film all my other ones. Eventually I would like to get some sort of top-down camera or something else like that just to have a better magnifying focus on both the live stream and recorded videos. But that's not in our budget just yet. Hey, thanks Element 25. It's no problem. Like I said, you always gotta start somewhere, and well, eventually you gotta have to start live streaming when it comes to YouTube. Now I am going to give all of these guys little pink noses, and that might make them look a little bit more like opossums, but I don't mind that one bit. That's no problem, Elder Darkness. We all got our little chores, don't we? I'm 100% one of those advocates for the 4-day work week. Give me one day to get everything done, one day for hobbies, and one to just do absolutely nothing. Thanks for stopping in, guys. I really appreciate it. Do you two have any good painting plans for the weekend? I don't think I'm going to get anything completely finished, but a little bit of headway will be pretty good. My gray shame is wonderfully organized in a box on the bookshelf, so I can just kind of turn it around and ignore it if need be. I keep buying with the intention of getting a lot more done, and then I just kind of keep getting more beholders. That's one of the other reasons why I kind of started this channel. It helps give a little bit of accountability. If you're going out and buying a whole lot of things, I mean, you got to paint at least once a week for it. So it will get you through that pile of shame, but it also motivates you to think, well, you know, I'm going to need at least one more figure for another video. So there's no problem getting a couple to stockpile. That's no issue. For the longest time, when I first started painting, I could not find the WizKids beholders anywhere. They had the variants, they had the Death Tyrants, the Zombie beholders, but the straight beholder I couldn't find. And then once I started seeing them, I started sweeping them up. I mean, left and right. They're just a little bit of my favorite. I may or may not have the classic boy. Yeah, you can't see that. Let's see here. Classic boy 8, just because I mean they're the best. They're just absolutely goofy looking. I always joke that they look like one of those guys that said you too when you told them happy birthday and then they have to sit in shame for a little bit. My friend told me that one. Hey 619 Opportunity Gray. Yeah, that's good. That's that's a good, I like that. Alright, let's see here. Let's get a little bit of dry brushing on these guys. I'm still learning how to dry brush, which I know sounds ridiculous since I've had this channel for a little bit, but I've never been really good at it. And I always thought it was just me until I finally went and bought a brush that was explicitly made by a miniature painting company for miniature painting, which I don't really like doing because I think that's always kind of buying into it, buying something that is frequently upcharged when you can buy something that does the same job for less. And then, well, you guys saw in some of my recent videos, especially the one beholder, it actually turned out pretty good. So I'm wondering how long I've actually not been that bad at dry brushing. I just had the wrong tools. Let's go with the black first, actually. That pink on the brown might still be a little wet. That was one of my problems too, not getting enough paint off. And then I was having a lot of difficulty finding the happy medium because then it seemed like I would end up taking all of the paint off the brush. But it's also, I think it may have been the miniatures I was painting. A lot of them were not textured. They were very slick-sided. So obviously that's going to hold paint, or the paint's going to sit differently than if you have ridges and crevices on the Mini to hold that paint on there that you're dry brushing on. I haven't reprimed many of mine. Some of them I just kind of keep around as a reminder of where I started and where I'm going. I have reprimed some, and if that was one miniature that maybe I was very particularly fond of and I really wanted them to look a specific way. I think my main fear is I'm always afraid of putting too much paint on the Mini once you reprime, reprime, and losing that definition on it. But, I mean, that's just something you have to do, and eventually sometimes you just have to take everything off and fully start over. But, excuse me, that's not really something that's wholly necessary, because, at least with me, most of the Minis I buy, I mean, I get a lot of the WizKids, as you can see, they're just what's always in stock, and I play more fantasy-based games. I don't really play any mechs or anything like 40K, anything like that. I've thought about getting some 40K miniatures just to practice, and then maybe auctioning them off like I did the Red Dragon. But if I don't like how I painted something, I'll usually go out and just get a second one and start all over and just have them as a comparison. Only because, again, the WizKids, I think my local place for the smaller ones, so the pack of rats here was $5. Larger ones, of course, like the beholder size ones are, I want to say like 13, between 8 and 13, depending on what they are. And then, of course, your big boys go up and up from there. But, oh, here's a good question. Oh my God, Miner, no. What's going on, man? So I was at my not-so-local gaming store the other day, and for all of you D&Ders that know what it is, they had a Tarrasque Mini, right, which is probably the size of this desk. I feel like it's just a power move. Like, if you're fighting a Tarrasque, how often, well, A, how often are you fighting a Tarrasque? B, you're gonna die. Like, you're not gonna beat it. I don't know why you would have that other than just as a flex to keep on the shelf. But if I ever get monetized, that may be my first video, just as a thank you to everyone. Just go out and buy this ridiculously priced $400 figure that I will absolutely never use. Your players would absolutely hate you, Elder Darkness. Oh my God. I don't even know if you can save up that many wishes. I figure eventually they're going to realize they're never going to be able to sell it. So either A, it's going to be on a discount, or B, it's just going to be a fixture of the shop at some point. Yeah, just to keep them in line. I mean, yeah, my first campaign that I built myself, because my husband was the DM for pretty much all of ours, and I wanted one. I ended up doing a lot of monsters based off of Filipino mythology and things like that, but I also, again, am a sucker for beholders, so they knew there was a hive underground, and if they ever stopped moving, like if they were taking too long to think about something, I'd say the ground was shaking because they're going through tunnels underneath, and they know that I have at least a dozen beholder figures sitting around, so they knew there was always the constant threat. So yeah, maybe that is its purpose, just to have it on the shelf in case folks start acting up and you gotta set them straight. Alright, I think we're gonna set our rat boys aside for a while. And we're going to take a look back at this one. I really don't know what I'm going to do with him. So, at the start, Miner, you watched this. I'm sorry, you missed this because you tuned in. This guy I got off of Amazon for super cheap. because I've seen them listed. And I was wondering about the quality of it, because there's also the same ones where you can buy like a pack of 50 villain or enemy miniatures for, I want to say it's like $25 or something like that. So I was wondering about the quality of it, and I saw they had the larger one, so I went and got it. Not totally regretting it, but not 100% sure if it's worth it yet. But we're gonna find out. So I think the next thing we're gonna do is, I don't know. I have no idea. Let's get out. Let's do his antlers. I think we'll do the horn antlers maybe in a very deep gray, some black, and maybe we can put an ombre there in the future once we start doing some shading. First thing I'm going to do, though, I can see on the spine here in the middle, because it was a nightmare to paint, it's missing some spots. So maybe we'll go and touch that up first. Now, I did start a video on this guy. Well, I started recording it, mind you. I haven't gotten much past that. I probably won't finish it since we're live streaming today, so folks can come back and visit this. So what I will say, what I did, I'm still learning how to use the airbrush. So I did a green silver airbrush base, and then I went through and did the purples that you see. And then the details, like the spine I left blank, his beard, just had the overcast from the silver. And so what I'm doing now, I went through and did a flat coat of that deeper blue there. I messed around with a lighter blue and a white on his beard and his eyebrows. I don't know if I'm going to keep that, but we're just going to go through and do a little bit of brushwork. I'd say the thing that I'm actually happy with on this one is I do like the little bit of the highlighting ombre effect I got on the underside of the wings. I think that is probably what I like about him. And that might be the only thing I like about him so far. But never hate yourself in the middle of what you're doing. Don't judge. I guess that's my tip for the day. Don't judge your painting or your process of painting in the middle of your process. Let me rephrase that. Very rarely does something look perfect halfway through or a third of the way through. If you know that you need to build up the layers to make it look good, don't hate what it looks like with only one layer. You're just hurting yourself and your self-esteem, and it's not worth the stress. Which is easier said than done, but you'll get there. Now, Elder Darkness, did you pick up that Tiamat figure? Do you have that resting on the shelf for whenever folks start acting up? Or are you just eyeing it up for the future, maybe? Ooh, a baby Tiamat. That could be fun. It's like sent out on a little mission, learning how to dragon. Oh, that's, yeah, another conversation I was having the other day with some of my coworkers, which I think is hilarious. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. I've been playing it for a couple years, right? Never fought a dragon. I've painted quite a few by now. Never fought one. I don't know if we'll ever run into one. I structured a silver dragon in human form in my one campaign, which the guys barely had a conversation with, nor did they realize it was a silver dragon in disguise, until after he transformed and flew away after they had left. But anyone else? No, never fought a dragon, even though it's in the title. Yeah, getting your players to pick up on things. Well, that was a first time DM move. Maybe I need to be a little bit more obvious with some of my hints. Third round of combat, solid, solid. Yeah, 619. Even though it's because it's usually not even an in-game thing. It's just folks end up not being able to meet, or things get skewed, or you start campaign hopping because you have a whole bunch of ideas and you just kind of never revisit it. Right now we're doing a little bit. It's not strict Ravenloft. It's not directly Curse of Strahd or anything like that, but it's my husband's homebrew campaign where we kind of moved into the Ravenloft realm, and we just hit level 7, and honestly I feel like our fireball happy druid would do his best against a dragon. And I mean, I'm playing a half orc barbarian because I love orcs. I don't know how we'd handle ourselves against a dragon, to be honest, but I will say it would be much easier in 5e than 3-5 or anything like that, just because I feel like everything's overpowered. We were having a conversation the other day about how cantrips are now. I mean, just because this is one thing that bothers me, just because your magic user goes up a level, their cantrip damage increases, but you don't have anything like that for your fighters or barbarians, unless I'm missing something, correct me if I'm wrong. But not a real fight. Are you talking about the D&D 1 minor? Is that what? I've seen little leaks here and there and stuff. I haven't looked into it too much. We were quasi toying with the idea of just fully going back to 3-5, or doing some sort of 3-5 merger with some Pathfinder or some homebrew rules. But that's the only downside, is finding source material for the players. Obviously, it's a lot easier for them to get their hands on all the new 5e and things like that. So player pulled off a leave the dungeon with the loot we already have because I don't want to take my chances. Yeah, even my barbarian tries to be kind of smart about that shit. Yeah. He's down for picking fights, but he's not totally stupid. He doesn't have. I think his int's like an 11. He's not bad. He's not too dumb. His wisdom. I think his wisdom's a 13, his int's an 11, and his charisma's a 7. So, I mean, I'm trying to play him where he knows when he can get in a fight and knows when he'll lose, but also has no idea how to talk to people and flirts with folks that are not picking up on anything because, well, I mean, he's just a fucking dumb half orc. He's great. If you don't fight the dragon, yeah, of course you're a real adventurer. You don't need to fight every dragon. Maybe there's a dragon protection agency. You don't know. Maybe they're an endangered species on a list somewhere. Oh, that's a good idea. Have it so that if you go out and start slaying and you get back to town, you're like, yeah, no, dude, like that's not cool. You can't just be out here just killing everything. Like he was one of our elders or something like that. Oh Lord. If you come back alive, are you really a risk taker? I mean, you can, yeah, why not? Although what I will say is I always love the interesting fact of things going perfectly smoothly, and so you expect your players or the people you're playing with to continue to do the thing that is being effective, and then once they achieve what they're going after, just throw it all away, right? So, short little story. If one of my friends ends up watching and he finds out about it, apologies in advance for telling this story. But so he's our paladin in our current campaign, and we had to go out and get an owlbear talon. And so we get into the lair, and what we're looking for is exactly at maybe 11 o'clock to us. The owlbears are sleeping. He's slowly walking the whole way around. We're rolling dice for like possible encounter the whole time. Gets the talon, and instead of seeking, just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna run out. Like, no, are you kidding me? So of course he starts running. They wake up. You get an encounter, and it's like, well, now we got to kill owlbears, even though two of us really didn't want to kill owlbears because they're precious little fluffy doom monsters. But it's like if you're doing something that was effective for over 50% towards what you need to achieve, just keep doing that. Like we could have got out of there, have no problems at all. But that's just how it goes, You just kind of have to expect that. Isn't a real adventure if someone doesn't get immolated. Now, we did have someone in our campaign who we weren't very fond of. We didn't want to kick them out, but we also wanted to remind them what we're there for. They were very much a by the book role player, a min-maxer, didn't really do any role playing. Pick one: meeting owlbear, bear, or man in the woods. 5 seconds. Bear. Yeah, I could fight a bear. I couldn't fight an owlbear. And if a man has a gun, I'm screwed. I could fight a bear. Now I know that doesn't necessarily mean they're all aggressive. I could also tame a bear and have a really cool grizzly bear friend. I mean, that'd be fun. Is this how we're adapting this? We're going to put this on the internet now? You have to add an owlbear to the list and see what changes? So this player, oh yeah, 100% would eat you. Yeah, owlbear, no. This player was a min-maxer, swore up and down, my 19 crits every time based on what they had, like, whatever. Like, they just weren't fun. They didn't bring anything good to the table. Like I said, they wouldn't role play. They were just kind of looking for combat, which wasn't where we were at with our campaign. We were kind of walking around, talking, and exploring. And they would also perpetually show up late, which for me, even as a person, is a cardinal sin. But when you're gaming, absolutely not. They brought food along once, which, now mind you, I don't expect you to bring food every single time. I'm the host. I usually cook, right? I enjoy cooking. It's probably my second favorite hobby. From my build, I mean, obviously you can tell I enjoy eating food, so you want to know how to cook well so the food you eat's good. That's besides the point. So he brought food once, and then every other time would eat immense shares, like would have 3 plates before our DM would have even 1. He wasn't necessarily very considerate. And eventually just got to the point where, like, we need to talk to this guy, but we don't know how. But a situation occurred in game where we're finally in a fight where a villain happened to have a flask of a glue-like substance and glue him to a tree and then ripped him off and like essentially flayed all the skin from his back in that process. And then the next section, he texted us 2 minutes after we were supposed to start that he was just leaving his place then, and it takes him at least 30 minutes to get to us. We're like, yeah, dude, just don't come back. Like, we just trashed that campaign. But because like you even try to talk to them in real life, like, hey, can you just show up on time? Like, you know what it is. You have it a lot. Like, if the time doesn't work for you, we were very open. You know, if it's like, hey, if you need a different time, if we need to start earlier, if we need to start later, if you want a different day, if that day doesn't work for you, we were a very flexible group. We only meet up once a month. But like, no matter what, he was just not great. And I'm sure he isn't, well, if he does end up watching this for some reason, then, oh well, I'm just telling it as it is. It was perception, you know? Yeah, minor, it sucked, because, like I said, and you'll know specifically how much this would bother me. I made food every single time. I made curry once. I love curry. I like my curry spicy, but I know not everybody does. So it's probably like 4 out of 10 spiciness. He's like, yeah, this isn't good. Do you have it? I'm like, well, I have some Szechuan peppercorns, you know, but they're peppercorns. Now, if any of you know, you kind of need to grind up a peppercorn before you put it into whatever you're using. Like, you need to crush it, grind it, whatever. But threw probably half a cup of peppercorns into it and said, yes, it's okay. I don't want her to be like, bro. Yeah. Shows up right on time for initiative. Yeah, you know what? Maybe that was his goal. Maybe that was... But that's the thing. So he was a halfling, so I had to carry him through the swamp. I was ready to just leave him there. I'm like, nah, bro. Like, swim. Let the snakes get you. I don't know. I don't care. Like, hand over your character sheet. Yeah, 619. I have one too. We always tell them like half an hour before the actual arrival time is, so we know that they get there right on time. Absolutely. I feel like there's always one of those in every friend group. You know, you love them, but you just gotta set them straight sometimes. But yeah, this guy, like, nothing. If there was at least one redeeming factor, you know, like if he was a great guest, he was just always late, or he knew how to play, but right, minor, yeah. It's like even when like we'd get pizza, he wouldn't offer to buy. I'd get like 5 pizzas and he'd eat 1.5, and one of them was toppings that only he wanted. So I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like, you're not being a great guest. Like if you're and here's the thing, if he was food insecure, if he would have said something like, hey, like, I would have made the dude his own servings and put him in a Tupperware dish to take home so he had, like, lunches for the week. 100%. That's the kind of person. But he never said it. He just consumed it all there and then just went. I'm like, food's my soft spot. Like, you can't be like that. I'm sorry. It's just not cool. See, here's the thing. I'd eat anchovy onions just to mess with him. No, I'd get like a sauceless chicken and jalapeno pizza. No sauce. Just cheese, chicken, jalapeno, and dough. Alright, I think got the Witchcraft Purple, one of my favorite shades. I think we're going to do a little bit of a light wash over his center platings here. And then maybe try dry brushing it on the side. We'll see how that looks. Again, I'm not too worried if I hate it because he is only like 20 bucks. Yeah. So this friend was in the friend group because he had worked with my friend and her boyfriend um, for I don't know 3 years or something like that. This is while I was active duty in the military, so I wasn't local, and so she would invite him to events, you know, because she would invite other folks and want him to feel excluded. And he was always kind of iffy then. And I'm like, hey, I know he plays D&D. You know, we'll invite him to play with us, see if that maybe makes it a little different. Um, and unfortunately, he didn't. And I didn't. I don't feel like a great person for having to kick someone out. Like even my husband, he's like, I've been playing this for 20 something years, and I've never had to do this, but it just was not. It wasn't making it an enjoyable time for the other people playing, and that's just kind of what it broke down to. Is if we can remove one factor, and that's what we'll do. And everybody else has a decent enough time. So, for those of you watching, since you were the ones kind enough to tune in, is there anything you'd really like to see on the channel that I'm not doing or haven't done or have maybe alluded to but completely forgot that I suggested it? um, you know, any figures you're looking for, or I could do technique videos, but I'm not exactly a pro. You know, I just kind of do this for funsies. I do like the video game Pathfinder 2 minor. And here's the thing, even if you're anxious, I've never had interactions with you where you were disrespectful at the same time. Like I feel like if you disagreed with something, you're tactful in the way that you would say it, and you know, you back yourself up, versus where this guy, it felt like he just kind of wanted to argue for arguing's sake. Oh, that's awful, Elder Darkness. There's we have a full like split rule, you know. You can't, and luckily my husband very much like you're no, whoever kills gets first dibs. Yeah, just running off while other people are engaged just to loot is kind of crappy. And the thing that always bothers me is when their defense is, well, that's what my character would do. Like, dude, come on. You do like to debate, Minor. I will give you that. a good move on your DM. Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. Teamwork makes the dream work. If you can't figure it out, why play D&D? I feel like a lot of people end up playing, and because of them playing games like Elden Ring or Dragon Age, things like that, Skyrim, they have main character syndrome, and they always want to be the main character, and that's not how it works. It's not how that's not how that's going to play out. Sometimes you might be, depending on what's needed, in your quests and things like that. But that's not necessarily always the case. We had a loot-related disagreement once because the ranger had a pet wolf. It died, and another guy wanted to loot its fangs. They managed to both kill each other. Is this like a double knockout punch at the same time? Or did one just bleed out? Oh, jeez. If the group wins, everyone wins. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, and that's kind of what I try to put out in my channel too when it comes to painting, you're all there to have fun. Like, if you're not having fun while you're playing the game, why the hell are you meeting up? Why are you, And if you can pin down what the issue is, and if it's an isolated issue or it's always the same thing, like, address it. It's just the nature of things. Just like the nature of this paint is not sitting on this figure grate. Watching and trolling the fight. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Luckily, we haven't had any of that yet. But who knows where Ravenloft will take us. Because my character very much wants to leave, and another's wants to stay and do their best to help. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll end up gallivanting off on my own and Frankie the Milkhouse Blizzard gets knocked out. But that's okay. There's always more half-orc barbarians where that came from. Draw straws. What, draw straws to decide if we leave or stay? I mean, we don't get to decide if we leave, to be fair. If given the opportunity to leave, Frankie's leaving. That's all I'm going to say. The mists of Ravenloft are not so kind as to folks leaving when they want to leave. Only leave it in the casket. Yep. Throw a heavy fog and never get... Dude, that's messed up. No, I'm a huge werewolf fan. I mean, not Werewolf the game yet. I just bought the book, but werewolves in general. Um, and I've been curious about how my husband would run Ravenloft, which is why he started it. And he's like, "Hey, this is what you wanted." I'm like, I'm not complaining, you know? The guys might complain. But it's great because we're getting the usual questioning of, okay, so what did he tell you? You know, you obviously, you're his wife. You obviously know things about this. And I'm like, I probably know less than y'all. Like, he doesn't say a word. Now, I have played Ravenloft before with other DMs. Um, but like I said, this current one, it has his campaign, so our local campaign kind of woven into it. And that was kind of similar to what the other DM had done before. It was his storyline woven into Ravenloft setting. So its standard truths and mechanisms and things were still pertinent, but you weren't playing through, a wedding story or something like that. Now, I will say we did try and loot the stores in Barovia, and that didn't work out too great. Here's a couple other questions for my fellow nerds since we're all chatting. With Baldur's Gate getting as big as it did, do you think D&D playing is going to spike? Do you think you're going to have more folks trying to hop into it or get into the game system? Or do you think they're going to be mainly sticking with the video game realm? Because I also think that could increase what I had said about main character syndrome. People trying to have the full pull and sway versus being able to play in a group. It's coming out okay. Don't want people thirsty for romance in the game. That's one of the reasons why I couldn't play Baldur's Gate. I mean, it felt like I had to play with a romancing mindset. Like it was a major facet of the entire game. I'm like, I don't, I don't need this. I just want to play the game. I'll have to check out the weapon mastery system minor. I'll look into that then. I really like, I don't know, like I said, we were looking at maybe doing 3-5 mixed with something else. Because, for instance, Frankie likes to just tackle things and beat the life out of it. And there's no real grappling table or hand-to-hand table in the 5e player's handbook. I had to go back and I think it was 2e, second edition I was looking at, I think, to find a table for it. Which, hand-to-hand is a major thing for monks. Why is it not in the handbook? And if it's already, I guess my thing is, if it already exists, why are they making something new? Why wouldn't you maybe do a compendium? I think it would be, oh, that looks great. I think it would be interesting to see if they were to sit down and do like, all right, chapter 1 is this fighting mechanic, all right? Hand to hand, short sword, long sword, right? And have 2 pages that has it charted out from the beginning all the way through up to 5e, so you can see how it evolves and parallels. So you have that full reference the whole way through. So you as a gaming group can choose, okay, we want this mechanism put in, we want this one put in. Now you'd have to standardize your roles, absolutely, and you know how the armor class numbering system, well, numbering system in general, changed through everything. You'd have to make a parallel for that for folks. But I still think that'd be interesting to see versus always, again, creating something new, needing to buy more new things. And I get it. You need to create something new because you need to make a profit because you're a company. You know, I won't look past that fact, but let's see. Don't mind having characters, romance, NPCs. It's not always fade to black. Exactly. Yep. It's not all about somebody's magical realm. Oh, that's good. Fighters and other classes can stack effects and mix and match. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And here's the thing, and maybe it's just the way I see it too. When things are missing, you as a DM have already kind of built out what you're going to do because of that missing factor. You know, you are going to build your own critical hit, critical fumble tables. You're going to build your own injury table, you know, your percentile chances. And I don't want to mean this in a bad way, if you're a good DM, like, that's what you're going to do. You don't want only preset things. I think you should be able to kind of craft and build. Now, I know that's kind of contrary to what I was saying earlier, because yes, I still think if you have something that is a major piece of the game, it should be provided to you. Like that grappling table, like I was talking about. We shouldn't have to either create one or go back 3 editions to try and find one. But you should also kind of be able to manufacture things on your own as well. See, that comes out pretty good. So what I'm finding, the front half of the figure is much less textured than this half. I don't know if that's because of the nature of what it is. I mean, because I was realizing that with the spines on top too here. So the dorsal spines from here until about here are completely smooth. So I was trying to figure out if I wanted to dry brush that or not, because once you look down here, they are textured. So you can see, let me move my camera, that might be easier than me trying to hold the figure up. You can see here, these spines are completely smooth. I mean, look at how the paint kind of glopped on there because I was trying to get paint on, but it's smooth as sin. Down here, you have that ribbing and that texture, so it would hold dry brushing for a texture paint. I don't know why. I mean, again, it was a $20-something figure off of Amazon, and I was curious what the print quality was, and I'm learning what the print quality is. So I can't complain too much about the nature of it, but that is what it is. So if you guys will give me a second, I will be AFK for just a moment, and I'll be back and we'll keep working, all right? trying to figure out how I want to keep doing this purple going down in these down here. I don't want to dry brush strictly because I won't have it on just the bottom tier. So let's try and mix something up that's a close color to it. And from there, we try and do some wet blending. Kind of like a white, gray, blue, periwinkle sort of vibe. So I think I've got my Parisian gray here. And I'll do, let's try a little, I was going to say gem purple, but let's see if we have our alien purple hue, what have you, up here. We do, and the only issue is it is airbrush viscosity. So I'll make that a little thin, but that's okay. We'll make this work. A little bit more purple. Minor, have you been live streaming at all lately? Or are you kind of taking a break from it? I know I'm subbed on Twitch, but I have Twitch open so rarely that I probably miss whenever you do. So I apologize. And that's all good, man. I don't know how much I will be live streaming. Again, I like it. I feel it's kind of necessary if I'm not going to get anywhere on this platform. But it is a little difficult to kind of factor into the schedule. It's a lot easier to just kind of record and edit on your own time and then have a set release date for sure is ease. But I mean, it is what it is. Brain microwaving, solid. That's exciting. Luckily, I just have to sit in a room and talk to people, which, I mean, I think brain microwaving might be a little easier, but. Well, get all fixed up, man, and get back to doing what you like to do, for sure. Easier to explain by calling him. That's fair. Yeah. So just so you all know, I'll probably work on these scales. Otherwise, it's like magnets and how do they work? I'll work on these scales, and then I'm probably going to log off here around 11:15. Because if you can't tell over the mic, I didn't have breakfast and it's almost lunchtime. So, um, don't be nice to him, Elder. He won't know what to do. He Just so y'all know, I've known Minor since, Lord, when were we in school? Like 2014? 10 years ago? That's obscene. We were in language school together for the military. 2013? Yeah, no, we graduated in 2014. That's true. We did start in 2013. Jesus. Doesn't feel like that long ago. Well, that's kind of how things work, though, isn't it? Still around from the 90s. Not to make you feel old, I was born in 94, so hopefully... hopefully you haven't been gaming longer than... I mean, you've probably been gaming longer than I'm alive, let's be honest. I mean... You're not ancient, you're alright. That just means you probably have, like, what, 6,000 hit points by now? 94 is the year you graduate. Yeah. Good times. I make all my coworkers feel old too. It's okay. If it makes you feel better, I have enough grades that people think I'm usually older than I am, thanks to all the wonderful stress. You know, all the character building, as we call it. Playing D&D in junior high. Let me think. I think high school was the first time I tried playing, but we didn't get like a full group together or anything like that. There's a little after school club. I didn't start playing it seriously until I was in the military or something. People in their 20s tell me they were born in 2000. Makes my knees hurt. Yeah, my current thing is, so there's a bit of a gap between me and my siblings, and my sister is now old enough that I have to teach her how to drive, and I don't understand how that happened. It doesn't compute in my brain at all. Minor, if you're still on the East Coast, we can always see about trying to get you to play with us through like Roll20 or something. I picked up the Werewolf Apocalypse main book. I should be reading up on that and starting a campaign with that soon if you're interested. If not, no worries. No stress. But you have to you do have to let me know if you get any bonuses from, like, brain microwaving. If for some reason you're able to discern all plot points and storylines, you gotta let me know. I gotta have a handicap. Delaware. All right. Well, we usually play like at 1 o'clock on Sundays, but that's for D&D. I don't know when we would end up um, building out for the werewolf one because the same group doesn't want to play werewolf that plays D&D. All therapy gives you +4 wisdom. World of Darkness, get werewolf. I did get the werewolf 5e. That's only because my husband did not have any of the werewolf materials. We still have the 2nd edition vampire. That sounds right. I don't know. I'd have to go look out at the bookshelf. But he didn't have any of the werewolf mats or books, mostly because he's a bit more of a vampire fan and I prefer werewolves. Personal preference, no hate. You know, I still enjoy what we do in the shadows. I'm not, I'm not pointing fingers. But I did get the 5e. I'm happy to see that it still leans on the dice pool of D10s because then I can use some of those old resources whenever I'm trying to build something out. I'm debating whether I'm going to use a pre-crafted campaign or if I'm going to start off making one. I think I might do pre-crafted just to start, just to learn, since everyone at the table will be learning the mechanics. But we'll see. I also said it's an excuse for me to get all new terrain that's modern versus all of our medieval-esque terrain. I'm not sure if my husband's bought into that yet or not, but I mean, any excuse I have to buy something new to paint, I'll take. Tell you what, I think I put like 7 layers of paint on this one scale, and it's still not doing what I want it to do. Yeah, I have a couple possible commissions lined up. I did that Red Dragon one, and one of the funeral directors that comes out to the cemetery often was really fond of it, but I was, again, auctioning it off. I wasn't selling it straight, so he was a little disappointed, and I'm like, you can buy one and send it to me, and I'll paint it for you. It's no problem. So that's looking like a potential option. And then one of the local tattoo artists who I follow and have looked at before for traditional ink sleeves wants his Warhammer army painted, but he's never gotten back to me. But if he does, that sounds like an excellent opportunity for an art trade, if you ask me. I have a fully open left arm with no ink, and he has a whole Warhammer army, so I'm sure we could reach some sort of agreement. These are starting to look a little better, but I'll tell you what, guys, pick up the, I mean, if you like this, the way this figure looks, pick it up. It's good for practice, but if you want something that is a quality sitter, I don't know if I'd recommend it. Now, obviously, I'm sure you're probably like, well, obviously, you know, it's $20 off of Amazon. What did you expect? Yeah, I was just kind of curious, but the way it's looking right now, he's okay, but kind of disposable income hobby. See, I'm not a big Warhammer person. I never really was. Even like the games and stuff, I never got it. I mean, Blood for the Blood God, obviously, you know, you can appreciate some of the lore and things like that. But the one that 2,000 on models. Yeah, dude, it's looking at what some people make off of painting commissions for that, like the really high quality guys. man, it's crazy. I would actually be able to quit my job. No, the one thing I don't think I will ever be able to get into, and they almost got me when I knew they had the Beholder card, is Magic. I have friends that play Magic. I don't think I will ever get into it just because if you can buy something that immediately makes you better than someone, I mean, I don't know. What was the same with Warhammer? Didn't they recently just essentially drop a couple of armies from being valid to play in the game? Like, you're not able to anymore? Why would you go and waste, like, spend all that money and then all that time painting them to not be able to use them? Like, how crappy is that? But Magic, man, I don't know, like the artificial scarcity idea of, oh, we only printed like one or three of these cards. Like, come on, you know? I TCGs I'm always iffy on. Now, what I will say for wargaming, I always like pointing fingers because my dad is like, why are you such a nerd and painting minis? He used to have like the Revolutionary War, you know, World War II metal minis, like those wargamings. And he used to sit down and used to paint them. And I think I could probably get into those. I mean, like classic skirmishes and things like that. Um, just because, you know, they interest me and I like the terrain and I like the repaints you can do and things like that. But the futuristic ones, I don't know, man. They're just not. And, you know, like to each their own. It is what it is. There's certainly things I'm able to learn from watching tutorials that include Warhammer figures, just because there's a lot of painting entailed in that. That, you know, D&D, you don't need minis for. You don't need any of this. This is just me enjoying painting, and my husband enjoys running it. He hates painting. No. I've asked him a couple times, and it's not, oh, that's too much water. It's not his thing at all. And you can play the game without that. Whereas Warhammer, you need the figures. And if you got the figures, you might as well paint the figures. So it's definitely beneficial if you're learning how to do this craft. But I don't know. I can't get into it too much. Magic's something I used to play in the first few years. Not nearly enough to have any of the super valuable cards. Yeah. 1 in every 3 to 5 sets of Magic. Knowing how often you buy new ones. Yeah, it's... Yeah, you still playing Hearthstone? It's always, you know, I'll walk in to go and get new paint and miniatures, and I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't spend so much money on this. But and I just see all the new packs, all of them with Magic, and you know those guys are there every weekend, just dumping and deck building, and I'm like, I can't do it, man. You know, and I'm sure eventually, what I'm spending on all of these, and you know, our warlock tiles and dice. I get it. I'm a dice goblin. I appreciate that. It's just a lot. League, yeah. Oh man. I'd say my guilty game that I've dumped way too much money into, and I'll admit it, freaking Genshin. The damn free to plays with the gachas. I'm like, I like mystery bags of dice. I like I haven't played it because I really didn't like Fontaine, so I haven't played much since like the 4.2 update, so I don't have a whole lot to catch up on. Um, but when it was just the first 3, when it was going up to Inazuma, I mean, I was obsessed with it, and I spent way too much money trying to level Ito up all the way to a 6-star. But that's my guilty pleasure. And you know, it's video games. It's not even something physical that I can sell to somebody else unless I sell my account, which is where Magic has one up on me. I mean, you can sell your cards and your decks for maybe a partial profit, but to each their own. We all have our addictions. Oh, I don't even have Genshin on my phone miner. That's 100%. I have that on the PS4 just because I can't play games on my phone. I don't have the eyes for it. I don't think I've ever played WoW. I think I downloaded it and played for maybe 20 hours. And then I don't know if I just had a crap computer, so I just got out of it because it wasn't running well or what, but to spend money to dopamine pipe. Yeah, absolutely. Played a lot of RuneScape when I was a teen. Not a lot of WoW, though. Didn't WoW have like Panda Warriors at one point? I think I remember wanting to get into it because of that. Now, you said you tried RuneScape again last year. Was it the new RuneScape or was it RuneScape Classic? Because I did download RuneScape Classic and I kind of enjoyed it. The new one I could not stand. And maybe it's the pixel fiending in my brain. Like I love Stardew Valley, I love Graveyard Keeper. Like maybe I just need like pixel or low res games. Oh well, yeah, maybe it just lost its enamoring feeling. The new one feels like worse. Wow. Yeah, I couldn't play the new one. I saw it was out and I tried dabbling with it and I'm like, absolutely not. And then I saw they had released the class and I'm like, okay, I can give this a try again. I think I played it for a couple of weeks, but then, you know, if I had already played it, I didn't need to play through it all over again. And I think a lot of it's nostalgia. You know, online gaming is a lot different from what it was when we were younger. And now, you know, I know there's age gaps in the chat, so I know 100% like it's not putting a floppy disk into the computer to play, or I'm not pulling out the Atari or anything like that. But just the actual, you know, sitting down, you have the dial tone for dial-up internet, you get on, you log on to RuneScape, you have your AOL chat like on the corner. Like I think it's just, even when you're revisiting the old games you used to love, it's just missing that something. Because it used to be like the internet was an escape. And now, I mean, it's in our pockets constantly. It's on our phones, we carry it around everywhere. It's just another facet of life. It's another line of tethering versus being somewhere you can go. And yes, Graveyard Keeper is absolutely super fun, and I like, as a funeral director, playing embalming games. It just makes me happy. Vampire Survivors. What's that one entail? Vampire Survivors, what's that like? Games you like work and much less. Yeah, especially if you're a completionist, I think definitely it feels like a lot more work just because there's so much more in it. And you're also, I like us having a gaming community. I like that it's a thing now. You're not like a weirdo that plays video games. But there's a lot more judgment that comes with it. Just oh, you're running this. Oh, you're playing this class. Oh, this is the route you decided to take. This is, it's a lot of fun is kind of taken out of it. Like I'm sure with the new Elden Ring DLC, there's people harping on other people's builds and how they decide to run it. Vampire Survivor games are a new guilty pleasure. See, don't give me ideas on what. Run around killing huge waves of enemies and power up your weapons. I think. You gotta think, did Call Me Kevin play that on YouTube? See, now you're gonna make me go. Alright, where's Steam? Thanks, guys. I'm not supposed to be spending more money. Yes. Yes, he did. He did play. Is it really that good? Like, so, if you guys don't know him, Call Me Kevin here on YouTube. I love his stuff. Some of it, he's playing games to play them well. But some of it is also, he plays games how you're not supposed to play them. Like, he just plays them like an idiot. Essentially, like, he's just messing around. And I remember him playing through this one. So, yeah, see, I have minis to paint, guys. But I may have to go and pick that up. Yeah. No, I was looking at, what was the other one I was looking at getting on there? It was another kind of slice of life, Stardew-esque game that I saw. But maybe I'll just have to pick up Vampire Survivor. It's on the phone too. It's a great toilet game. That's a guy. Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe I won't be sexist. I was going to say that's a guy thing. Because, like, bathroom, in and out 5 minutes. Don't be wasting time in there. I don't know why, guys. You always take, like, 40 minutes in there. Maybe it's just because you're playing Vampire Survivors the whole time. You know? Alright, for the last little bit of this tail, I'm just gonna do a little bit of a wash here versus trying to get each one individually. And that's what makes me not a pro, because pros would take their time and do it proper and right. And I want to go eat lunch, so. Well, not lunch. I'm actually, if any of you, for some reason, the three of you watching are in Central PA. There's a fundraiser over at Evergreen Brewery where they're doing a portion of their draft sales are going to one of the local animal rescues. And so that's where I'm going for lunch, but it's a late lunch at 1, and I usually eat lunch at like 11. So holding out's going to be a little bit difficult. But Minor, you have to make this chat appropriate. Don't make me get mods. Michigan. Okay. Solid. I have a friend out in Michigan. She's like 45 minutes north of Ann Arbor, I think. I have some friends out in Wisconsin too. Michigan's not bad. Yeah, it's the Wild West. Yeah. Yeah, there's some absolute trash that I watch on YouTube, and I'm surprised that they get away with what they get away with, honestly. I haven't been on Twitch in so long. I used to watch a good bit. One of the guys I went to high school with, he had a channel where he streamed um, Overwatch and some of his art stuff, but he is now on the Japan side of the world, and so he was on less and less. I mean, I haven't watched his stuff in quite a while. I think that was the last time I was on Twitch consistently. All right, so after about, how long have we been on? A little over an hour and a half. This is how the guy's looking now. Could be worse, could be better. I think maybe what I'll do is I will reference people back to the live stream if they want to see where the middle's at, that middle ground. Maybe I'll still make a video with the start and the finish and how he ends up looking. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Honestly, I wasn't sure if anyone would or not. I did a community post yesterday about this one. I think that's what I'll do whenever I'm planning a live stream, is at least throw something on the community tab one day in advance. Maybe more, maybe we'll make it a regular thing. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. If anybody watches this later, thanks for watching. And as always, take care. It's nice catching up with you guys and meeting you.